The weird thing is, if you look at the world today, even the most innocent things have become political. Even the most innocent things have become a source of battering our belief and our iman. Take the World Cup. The World Cup, it's a political tool now. Nothing other than a political tool. Russia are no longer in the World Cup because they invaded Ukraine. Although if you look in 1938, Nazi Germany participated in the World Cup. If you look in 1950, France, while they were butchering Algerians, it took 1 million Algerians, the lives of 1 million Algerians, to get liberty, were in the World Cup. If you look at 1970, when Nigeria attacked Biafra, over 1 million people died out of starvation, and they were in the World Cup. They got rid of Ukraine, and then they were saying, oh, we need to also boycott Iran. Now look, I have no issue with you boycotting countries if you think their human rights is really bad. But be consistent. That's what we ask. If you want to do it, but be consistent. Why not boycott Israel? 70 years of apartheid state, they invaded a country. They exiled people, but they're a part of Europe when it comes to the European football. So if you want to do it, but be consistent. And in the recent days, I'm sure you've heard how Qatar has been battered, beaten black and blue. It started with the, workers, migrant workers, generally South Asians, and which to a degree we agree with. But then if you want to batter Qatar, then batter all those Western firms which have been working there. The hotels which have been created, the famous brands that we know, day-to-day hotel brands, the companies, boycott them. Many of the lucrative, allowances which were given to Western countries. Their companies and their firms went inside and they created these hotels, they created these stadiums. So boycott, but boycott everybody. See, Qatar is an easy target. One of the reasons is that it's a Muslim country. You say anything about Muslims today and it sticks. And listen, whilst yes, the migrant workers have it very difficult in the vast majority of the Middle Eastern countries, you read all the articles when they spoke to migrant workers. Do they want it to be boycotted? They said no. Because if it's boycotted, their families will starve. There's this story about this guy from the West. He goes to one of the third world countries and he's living in one of these flats, these high-up flats. So to get hot water, a person has to carry that hot water from downstairs every single day to give him the hot water. So being a Westerner, he feels sorry for this person. So he stopped having a bath. A few days later, he asked, where's that person? He said, well, he's lost his job. There's no need for him. So where he could have fed his family, now no longer he can feed his family. You see, all these migrant workers, they say, yes, we want better working rights. We don't want the World Cup to be boycotted. And this thing, it started by the migrant workers. Now it's become a side note. It's become a footnote. If anybody's been following it, it's all about LGBT now. LGBT rights. They don't give LGBT rights. We're going to go there, we got our rainbow colors. America in the training camps got their rainbow colors. Some are talking about they're going to have a rainbow band. Have some respect for other people's culture, for other people's religion. People regard many of the things in the West repugnant. When they look at extramarital affairs, where a man and a woman can have extramarital affair and no consequence. He can or she can betray her spouse, walk out on the children without any consequence. People find this repugnant. People find the fact repugnant that when you are a child, your parents day and evening, every breath is for you. And they raise you. and in their hour of need, you put them in an old people's home. People find that repugnant. People find the fact repugnant that you can give puberty blockers without the consent of the parents to children who are still in school. People find that repugnant. People find it repugnant that you invade countries on a pack of lies. People find it repugnant that you know what's happening in Yemen and you're still giving them weapons to bombard the people in Yemen. People find it repugnant. But nobody says we're going to come to your sporting event with an armband to protest. Because it's the savior mentality. We save the world. The world is indebted to us. And this is the unfortunate thing. Out of the countries who are participating in the World Cup, 13 countries don't allow same-sex marriage. Japan, South Korea, don't go that far, let's come closer to home. Serbia, Croatia, Poland. Next time you pray Poland, wear an armband, see what they do to you. Make the hoo-ha. But Qatar, small little country, 21 times smaller than the UK, want-to-be country. It's a want-to-be country. And then you see these players, they go for causes which are fashionable. That's the truth. Fashionable cause. LGBTQ is a fashionable cause. So you jump on the bandwagon. What about all the other atrocities happening in the world? I never saw you making a big hoo-ha about it. But having said all this, Qatar deserves it to a degree. You know why? Because you can't buy class. You can't buy love. They're paying Beckham $150 million to be the ambassador, to give them a good name. Let me give you the statistics on countries, how much they spent on the World Cup. So America, 1994, spent $0.5 billion. France, it spent 2.3 billion. Korea and Japan spent 7 billion. Germany in 0206 spent 4.3 billion. South Africa in 2010 spent 3.6 billion. And then in the 14th, Brazil spent 15 billion. Russia in 2018 spent 11.6 billion. Qatar spent 220 billion. So you deserve it. You deserve it. 220 billion to buy other people's respect, to buy other people's love. You know, when Rabi ibn Amir radiallahu anhu was a black Sahabi, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas sent him to Rustam, who was the second most powerful man on the face of this earth. And this black Sahabi, who was a slave before, Rustam asked him, who sent you? He said, Wallahu ta'athana li nukhrija man sha min ibadati al-ibad ila ibadati rabbil ibad. He said, Allah sent us to remove whoever He wants from the servitude of man to the servitude of the Lord of man. These were people who were nobody's slaves. They came out of slavery, they found Islam, they found Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they only became slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You want to be slaves of other people, and you think you can buy people's love, you can buy people's respect? And this is what happens. If you have no self-respect, brothers and sisters, wallahi nobody else will respect you.